Until I looked at myself in the mirror one day and I was disgusted with what I saw. So I said, you gotta make a change, man.
It's all about fun, laugh, and getting through life. That's what it's all about.
I find you have everything to gain with Christ, and without him, everything to lose.
Said I'm gonna lay you down, just like the bridge over troubled water.
Hello and welcome to the show. And I want to bring in my co-host, Dr. Vanessa DeDanzi. Hello, Vanessa. How are you?
Hello, Lottie. How are you? How's everything?
I see you smiling, so I guess you as excited as I am.
Listen, this is a much needed conversation today. I'm excited overall and just can't wait to hear, the thoughts that's out there.
Yes, because tonight we are talking about gun violence. And our topic tonight is living life, putting the guns down. And we have invited some distinguished special guests to join us because they have a lot of experience in this area. And we would like to introduce our guests at this time. But we want to apologize that Minister Mickens, he was having some technical difficulties, so he couldn't get on. And so hopefully he can get on before the show is over from Checkpoint. And we also have joining us Mr. Ron Moore from Delaware. He is the founder of REM. Hello, Mr. Moore. How are you?
How are you? Good evening. Good evening, ladies. How are you?
Miss Jacqueline Bernard Rivera. Hello.
Good evening. Good evening. Hello. How is everyone today?
Good. And we have Mr. Andre T. Mitchell. He's the founder and executive director of Man Up. Hello, everyone. How are you?
Fine. How are you? Thank you, ladies, for having us.
Well, thank you for joining us. As you know, this year there's been an uprise in gun violence. We have had a recording shootings of 777 since January to July. Homicide has gone up in all the largest cities, 24%. So right now we're in a gun violence crisis. So from your experience, I was thinking before when I was talking to you, I said it always starts from the home and what the kids get involved in until they get older. I mean, it's not just only young people, shooting. Older people doing violent things, but I'm more interested in our young people because I don't want to see our young people go that way. So we need to start finding out how did this start and what we need to do to help out before it gets to that point. So any one of you can start.
Well, I'll begin. I'll just add to what you're saying, and I would have to push back a little bit. That's because we didn't start this. This is not a crisis that we started. This is something that was placed in our lap. We have to think back before, we even got into this. Our communities were set up for demise, and it wasn't set up for success from the very beginning. When you look at the factors that we are living in and what we're going through, it's almost impossible for anybody to not be insane, having to deal with what we have dealt with as a people. To be really honest with you, the access to these weaponries that it's unfortunately on our street. We are not manufacturing these weapons. These things are not being, manufactured in our communities. There is an underground black market that is also at play. And there are some of us that are out here doing this work. We know that this is actually done deliberately. And unfortunately, because the way that the guns are looked upon by the youth in terms of how they see it on TV and in videos, it's glorified to have a weapon. And so if they get access to it, and then if something that they see is cool, they're gonna, if they get access, they're gonna use it. And so I always, push back a little bit. It's unfortunate because our kids can't access a computer, a laptop. They can't access a job, but they can access a gun. So it's something to really factor into the conversation.
You know, Mr. Mitchell, I understand what you were saying, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. But what I'm saying too is, how did it get to them even wanting to pick up a gun? I mean, I know they get out there with their friends and they get in the wrong group of peer pressure, but you know, when we're in the home, we have the parents there. Because I just feel like we gotta start being more parents and not friends to our children. Because children need discipline. They need structure and rules. And sometimes I just feel these kids today got too much freedom. Not that you shouldn't have some freedom, but it's too much freedom. They can come in when they get ready. They don't have no curfew to come home. You see them on the street all time of night when they should be home getting ready for school the next day. So I'm saying I still feel that we need to start back in the home and keep a better, to say we should know where our kids is. You know, like that commercial comes on TV. Do you know where your kids are at 10 o'clock? You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying for the beginning.
I understand. I'm not, by no means, I'm not justifying senseless violence. It is still not acceptable, although the access is unfortunately there. I'm not saying that it's okay for someone to pick it up and use it against one another. I'm saying that if we really want to get to the bottom of it, it's just, you know, you're only going to attack one part of it, you know, but if you really want to uproot it, we got to look at the whole, you know, pandemic.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
The lack of resources that are in our communities make it prevalent for these young people to decide they're in survival mode. So that's how they survive. So they pick up that gun as opposed to having the resources that they need to make better decisions. So it's incumbent upon organizations like Man Up, who I'm very proud to have been a part of, that programs like that, you know, are out there helping these young people make better decisions and trying to keep those negatives out of their hands. So we're pushing, just like here in Wilmington, Delaware, we're dealing with the same issues here in Wilmington, Delaware. So programs like mine give these young people an opportunity to develop the resources that they need to stray away from those negatives of picking up a gun and having access to the negatives like a gun to killing others.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to interject, and I agree with what our host Shannon saying about it starts at home. If we can put our kids in school, but we can give them the clothes that they need. But if we're not monitoring our children in a fashion where what you doing, where you going, asking questions, making sure when it's time to come home, they're home, and not letting them run in the streets like. It's 11 o'clock. You should have been in hours ago. Curfew times, sleeping times. So actually, it's a two-part. I agree with Mr. Mitchell and I agree with Mr. Moore as well with programs. But starting at home and working with children and veering them the right way, just like the old saying says, it takes a village. Everybody has to be a part of raising a child. When you give your child freedom, their brain is not fully developed till they're 25. So if you're giving them a freedom to roam, they're going to roam. But if you instill a certain amount of values, but I do understand that a lot of stuff is going on in the street. But we as parents, I have 3 children. It's my duty. Doesn't matter. Call me. Where you're at. What are you doing? Who are you going with? You're not 14 and out in the street at 11 o'clock. You're in.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that a lot of our young people, their home life is really what's the problem. They have incarcerated family members. They have family members that are on drugs. So they're dealing with a host of issues themselves in the home in itself. And it's tough for them young people. So they're raising themselves. A lot of these young people out here today are raising themselves. They are not even being raised at home the way they should. And it's the problems. The problems that we're having.
In the defense of the parents, respectfully, and having grown up, as I'm sure we all can relate, having grown up in the neighborhood. I don't call it the hood. I say the neighborhood because that's what it was for me, where we all, like you said, the village concept. But in defense of the parents, I mean, they have a lot that they're dealing with. It is not easy. It's easier said than done nowadays. When you have systems and you have agencies that's working against you and not allowing you to discipline your child that way that you would really know that you have to do so, I mean, it's counterproductive. They're kind of handcuffed. And so that's why they rely on organizations like REM, like Man Up Inc. and other organizations out there to help them kind of raise the child and go back into that village mindset. So we are all, I think, saying the same thing. I just don't want to say that, that the parents are the problem. I would say that they are the part of the problem. This is a societal, sort of responsibility. Everybody has a piece to play, and everybody has to take responsibility for their fair share.
But Mr. Mitchell, also too, like you were saying about what the parents have to. What, in other words, this law about their rights is up now that you can't discipline your children. I'm saying I don't care about that law. Okay, you the parent. No. You the parent. That law said.
That is the old school mentality.
You better read that law. It doesn't say anything about you can't discipline your kids. And if your kids know that you are more scared of them than they scared of you, that's the problem. Because your child's supposed to have a little bit of fear about you, okay? Like I always told my daughter, that day on me, you're gonna have a reason to go with them. Because I'm here to save you. Because when the police get you, they're gonna be knocking you in the head and you're gonna be in jail. I'm gonna do what I have to do to save my child.
It's what my mother used to say, the fair guard. I'm gonna put the fair guard in.
But see, Lottie, you got one. I should tell mine. You're gonna come after me. Y'all gonna all come together. But I want to ask, how do we begin to identify these children that are at risk, and how do we engage them into such programs as Man Up and the REM program before they get to Mr. Rivera and restorative justice, correct?
Yeah. Yes, before they get into her court. But as you said, there is this everybody's heard the prison to school pipeline.
Yes.
That type of that analogy, which is really the poverty to prison pipeline. And again, I think it's not hard to recognize where the poverty communities are. And you're beginning to see, Brother Ron knows this, we work with kids as young as 5-year-olds. That's purposeful, because we know that at the early age, you can see warning signs and flags in school. They said that third reading scores, they can tell the trajectory of how they're going to be. And so when we know these things are happening in the households and what's happening around the households in the neighborhoods, we look to target these babies, these young children, and get them as early as we possibly can, so that we can also inject those things, the thinkings that Brother Ron was talking about in terms of the right, decisions to make. Because unfortunately, they're going to be introduced to these things. The moment that we as parents send them outside, we have a little control when they go outside. We hope and pray that they really rely on the fundamentals that are instilled in them as they grow older. And so what we do at our companies, and I know Brother Ron is still doing it in Delaware, is we look to reach them as young as we possibly can and begin to pour as much resources as we can into them, so that they don't have to, unfortunately, become a member of that system that is in place, where they go through the court system. Because once they are kind of identified in school and they start getting write-ups and they start getting in trouble, that's when the anecdotal records and all of that begin to start piling up. It's only a matter of time before they start crossing the criminal justice system.
And see your children also, when just like you said, when they out in the street, they're going to run into these people. They're going to be introduced to all of this stuff in the street, right? But what I'm saying is, if they know the rule from home, it also helps to tear them from getting involved. Because I know, like when we was growing up, my father always made it clear that he did not have to come to school or anywhere else to get you or whatever. So you already knew, even if you hung out with some friends and they wanted to cut school, you would say, no, I'm not going, you go. Because I'm not going to let my father catch me outside cutting or whatever. That's the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with more conversation on Live Life, Put the Guns Down. We'll be right back.
LaShonda Anderson,
Deborah Dan,
Megan Hockaday, Nina Pop, Stephanie Clark, LaJuan Dell, Nia Webster,
Keisha Mike,
Christopher Dion,
George Floyd. His name was George Floyd. Say his name.
Say his name.
George Floyd, say his name.
Say their names. Once again, and always, we fight for justice. Black Lives Matter. Go to blacklivesmatter.com.
Hi, if you're just joining us, our hot topic today is Live Life, Put the Guns Down. And before we went to break, I was just saying about, I think when we have more of the kids having a little fear about us, that they'll do better when they get in the street because they'll remember what the parents said, and they don't have no problem telling their friends, okay, you can go ahead and do that, but I'm not going to do it. I know all kids are not going to do that regardless, even with the parents at home, because some of them really want to get out there to get that freedom. But what happens is sometimes the parent lose control and then they're out there.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of times it's they have this street code that they don't want to live, about being mama's boys or what have you, whatever you want to call it. So it's incumbent upon programs like ours. We catch these young people in elementary school. I do programs in school. So because I'm in the school directly, I get the opportunity to see exactly what these young people are going through and what they bring into the school from the neighborhood, from their home. So I get to see it and get to channel in to those issues that they're dealing with and try to help them, realize and understand how to combat those issues.
Some of the things that when your program, Mr. Mitchell and Mr. Moore, like in your program, what are some of the things like when you go in to talk to the kids? What are you talking to them about? Like, how do you, talk to them about not getting out there involved in anything? What are some of the specifics that you deal with them?
Well, for me, we talk about self-awareness and giving them an understanding of knowing who they are as young black boys and having that understanding so that they can, because these young people don't know who they are with, what their history is, any of that. So if you're teaching that gives them the opportunity to realize who they are as young men and what they're capable of doing. We have to instill that character and that integrity within them, but it starts with self-awareness, in my opinion.
When I would confer with my colleague, we use that time that we have with them to instill in them the things that they don't get at school, and the things we reinforce the parenting, the things that you're talking about in terms of the right from wrongs. That the parent, again, I am a parent advocate. I want to put out there that most of our parents are doing the best that they possibly can with all that they have. The overwhelming majority of our young people, guess what, are not in trouble. The kids that are in trouble are a minority. They are not the majority. So we have to do what we do. So what we do at Man Up Inc. is we reinforce the parenting principles and concepts. In addition to, like Brother Moore said, we give them the things that they don't get at in school. School is not giving them the history about themselves. The school is not talking to them about drugs and alcohol. They're not talking to them about the ill effects of bullying and gangs, and things that they really are needed to learn how to navigate those troubled streets that we unfortunately have to send them outside to navigate. And so, like you said, if we arm them with some of those, with those teaching tools, they're able to make it back home, and then the parent is a lot more relieved because they know that their child is back in their safe care. So we work in conjunction with the schools and with the households to keep a tighter look around the young people so that they don't get caught up in the streets where they are targeted.
Just to add on, okay.
For Ms. Ferreira.
Just to add on about that, I just my program doesn't just deal, the Peacemaker program that I work with in the Justice Center in Red Hook, Brooklyn, doesn't just deal with people that have already are into the system. We also work in schools. We work in middle schools and high schools. And we have a program, the Peacemaking program, where we set up and we talk with middle schoolers and high schools about like, how can we de-escalate a situation before it gets to the point where y'all are fighting every minute and then fighting a weapon or someone gets hurt. So we know that not every parent can be a 24-hour sentry guard on their child. We're talking about parents. When parents need help and their child has gone astray, even when they get in school, they're a completely different person from what you see. So we in the schools working and addressing those issues with guns. We're addressing those issues with how to de-escalate situations and how to push themselves up. So it's just exactly what we're talking about. It's peacemaking. How can we bring everybody together in a peaceful way instead of just waiting for them? Come on to we catch people in the court system. I'm working with defendants and complaining witnesses. We get them when they're in that stage. And I also work in probation. We get people that are already in the system as well, but we catch them in middle school. It's just like a brother Moore was saying, and Brother Mitchell, we are working with you guys to before it gets anywhere, because there's always a chance to work when you have an opportunity to work with youth at a young age, instill the better values with them, because everybody wants that parent. Because my mother said, I am your parent, not your friend.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna treat you like a parent.
Yes. My
kids are like, they call me Ma. If you ever call me by my name, which I love my name, but don't you call me Jacqueline? Did you do this? What? No. Exactly. I am your parent, and I'm gonna treat you as such. Don't call me. What do you want me to do, Jacqueline? So it's you as a parent. If you can't, your skills are not. Parenting is parenting, but if your skills are not up to par, working with it as a parent, because we all do it differently. That's why the programs like Man Up and RIM to help, and the peacemaking program. So it's every entity. It's like Roots. We have Roots now there's Roots in Delaware and different areas trying to bring us all together.
So when you have kids that's already part of the system, how do they regain their confidence as young adults, as young growing adults?
It's challenging because they already have a mindset, and that mindset is already, there's nothing you could tell me. But every young person can be chipped at and talked to. And it's your tone. You can't walk into a session and talk to a young person like, sit down, pick your pants up, sit down. No, or tell her to take that lipstick off. She's who she is. And you can address that and say, look, you can give them compliments, you can talk about them, and you get to a space where they're comfortable at. You don't go to their level, but you come to a meaningful understanding, and they respect you more for that. And when you reach them at that level, like I know Man Up does that. I know that
y'all just like we use the strength-based approach, and we look at it from where the positives are, because we also work with court-involved kids. We work with kids that are literally detained in Crossroads, which is the juvenile detention center in Brooklyn. And I have a whole team of individuals who are trained to go there as mediators to reduce the incidences in that facility. But you're absolutely right. We look at the positives. We don't focus on the negative. Everybody has something positive, and it's very important that people work with these court-involved, justice-involved youth to be able to have that eye to look at them and see what's right versus what's wrong. Because when you're able to really uplift them and you begin to build the trust with them, they begin to open up, and then now you're being able to find out or locate where the root of the issues are, and that's where you really want to happen so that you can really help them. Because at the beginning, they're wearing a mask. And they're not letting a lot of people. They got to shield up. They got to force. They got to shield up. They don't trust everybody, and that rightfully so. And we just want to break down that wall to get to the real person behind that mask. And when we do that, and my colleagues would agree, we have these loving young people on the opposite side.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
One of the ways that works really well with us is in peacemaking. Since we are funded, we can offer them a meal. We break bread. And nothing like bringing a meal to the table. People, they loosen up and they talk. In our peacemaking program, you'll be surprised that the youth start to talk. If you call them beforehand, before we have our sessions with their groups, we say, what did you want to eat again? Those little things that you remember. What is your favorite? Like you ask them, what I have your roast beef or whatever you need. A meal goes a long way. And to remember the little things about a youth touches them. They're like, oh, so you care. I said, look, I see you with your nails, because if that's what they're doing, that's fine. I can't say take your nails off. You know, whatever they like, you don't have to automatically like, but you can give them it doesn't hurt to give a youth a compliment. Your face is beautiful. And then you start from there, find out what the underlying problems are. Because I deal with a lot of young girls that are ready to go back at me. And I don't know the latest slangs and they snap at me. And I'm like, okay. And I actually have a playful banter with them and first, in order to get anything out of any youth, you have to loosen them up. And once you get them in a position where they want to talk, it's not when you're taking advantage, it's you giving them that knowledge they need to get it right.
Right. I think also that respect is important. A lot of people, we were raised that you respect your elders, we were given that. So, but these young people, you have to flip that and show them what respect looks like. And when you give them that respect, they would give that back in return because they see what respect looks like. A lot of these young people don't even know what respect looks like. So when you give it to them, you get the opportunity to break that wall down that Brother Mitchell was talking about and be able to get inside this brother's heart and get to know him a little bit. And once he trusts you, he will tell you anything you basically want to know and get the opportunity to help him combat those issues that he's dealing with.
Yeah. So as the label of the show, when she says put the guns down, in order for them to put the guns down, we're gonna have to have something to replace it with. And so once the wall comes down, we gotta have that resource on hand, literally, to be able to give to this youth and believe it. Like Sister Jacqueline said, a lot of them they're hungry. Hello, I mean, we're talking about attacking the hunger. The hunger issue that goes on. That's a real issue in our community.
Yes, it is.
And so a lot of these kids don't know what a square meal looks like. Mother Shannon, if you cook them a Sunday dinner, they'll look at you like you got two heads because they've been raised in fast food. So that's a part of the problem. We have to reintroduce them to some of those fundamentals, some of those values. Be able to really provide them with the things that they really need to succeed, like other young people their age have at their disposal.
You were absolutely right, because that reminded me of the story when I was, because I used to work for the Board of Ed, right? And I remember one day I was out in the hallway and this kid, he was in the school, but he was always causing trouble, always fighting, up in someone's face, cursing the teacher out or cussing the principal out or whatever. Yeah. So I remember he got up in my face one day and told me he was going to F me up. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, take your best shot. Whatever comes out is going to be up. So I know my rights and I know your rights. You hit me, I'm going to hit you. So you don't have no rights here, right? And so we had it out. So then next day I was sitting in my office, right? And he was standing at the door. And I know it was only God. But when he was at the door, I opened my mouth to say, get away from my door, like that, but nothing came out. He walked in, I was eating my food. I had the burger from McDonald's, and he says to me, can I have your other burger? Like that. Wow. Yeah. And I said, well, okay, then take the burger. And he sits down. And we started talking, and he started telling me about his father was in prison, his mother was in jail, he lived with his grandmother. So his grandmother was sick, and he thought she was going to die. So he said if she died, he didn't have anywhere to go and everything, right? Wow. So we sit and talk for a while. And then, like, I just told him, about how he needs to act, and he shouldn't be acting that way. That's not the way a young man's supposed to carry himself. And we just had a nice long talk. And I tell you, from that day, if anybody said anything to me in that hallway, they was like, you better get out of Miss Shannon's face. That was
you see, it was food that opened it up. And that's what we concentrate on in peacemaking. We start out with a meal, and you're breaking that bread and you loosen them up. See, that he wanted that burger. Yes. He wanted it bad. He was hungry. Not
even realizing that he was hungry because he just was always such a troublemaker. But then he'd come to school, not dressed properly, dirty. And then we had the conversation about that and everything, where he could wash his clothes at. And he just did a turnaround. 360. And, talking. And then I would tell him, don't be, up in the teacher's face and cursing the teachers out in the face. Yeah. And he finally graduated, and thank God his grandmother got all right, so he didn't have to worry about that anymore. But this is our first part of the show, and if you was joining us today, we was talking about Live Life, Put the Guns Down. And we want to thank our special guest, Mr. Andre Mitchell from Man Up, Mr. Ron Moore from Delaware, from REM, and Miss Jacqueline Renard Rivera from the Red Hook Justice Center. And my co-host, Miss Vanessa, for joining us today. And remember, you can always follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can also watch the show on Saturdays at 2:30 on Manhattan Neighborhood Network and Brooklyn Free Speech at 5:30. So thank you for joining us today, and hang around. We're coming back for our after show. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.
Thank you. We're back with our after show, and our topic was Live Life, Put the Guns Down. In the first part of our show when we was talking, I just wanted to just briefly say again that I feel that kids just want discipline and they want to be loved. Even the bad kids, I never say they bad, because to me they're not bad. They just want attention. They need that attention.
Yeah.
And because I say that, when you were saying about how you talk to them, Jacqueline, I mean, sometimes we do have to kind of get a little rough with them a little bit.
I do, but you can't jump right into it.
Exactly. But I tell you, another quickie, and then we're going to go on to yours. There was another kid that came. Wait a minute, I'm telling you, I got so many good stories about our young males. He came to the office with his mother. He had been acting up. She had to get him transferred to another school, right? So he walks in all big and bad, sit at the table. He's sitting next to me. The mother's sitting across the table and everything. She's talking to me about him and his behavior and stuff. He turns around and looks at her and tells her to shut the F up, right? So I'm sitting there looking like, okay, well, I'm waiting for something to happen, you know, for her to say something or get up, knock him in the head or knock his teeth out. I'm waiting for anything. And so I looked at the parent and I said, you sitting there and you allowed him to talk to you that way? And she said, well, what am I supposed to do, Miss Shannon? You know, if you hit him, what's going to happen or whatever, right? So I tell you what, and I looked at him, I said, if you open your mouth one more time, I'm going to bust you up myself. He didn't open his mouth the whole time in that miracle. He said absolutely nothing. And I said to the parent, why didn't he curse me out? He doesn't know me. Why didn't he curse me out? He doesn't know me. Yeah. And so then I told him to get up and leave the room, and then I had a conversation with her. Then I brought him back in, and I said to him, I understand that your father is not in the house. You are supposed to be the man in the house now. You should not be giving your mother a hard time like you're giving her now. You are disrespecting her, and you will apologize to her now in front of me, and he did. And I said, from this point on, I'm going to ask her to let me know if you give her any more trouble or whatever. And then we're going to decide what's going to happen to you at that point. I said, because this is not you. You're not supposed to be acting that way. So they left the office. I kept in touch with the parent just to see what was going on and everything. Thank God, finally he changed his behavior and he made it through high school and everything. And I said to her, you are the parent. Why were you sitting there letting him talk to you that way? I'm surprised at you. I just couldn't even believe it. I expected you to do something. Why are you worried about the system, what they're going to do to you when by the time he gets 17, he's going to be kicking your butt.
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen. If you don't get him under control, he's going to be beating you.
See, he didn't know you.
Other kids
he didn't know you, and then he learned you. See, it's how you approach them in the get-go. You can, and then a lot of parents, they they're trying to make sure their kid gets everything they need or whatever. They're doing the best they can, and it's like when that child realized at 1 year old or 2 that I told you to shut up and you shut up, they realize it can happen. It's a 2-year-old telling me to shut up, and they do, and then like, no, leave her. She's cute. It's not cute when she's 11 years old and she's taking a bat to your head.
Yep.
Exactly.
So you have to start. It's like it's that ground level early. I'm your mother.
Yes.
I had a session. We did a session on Zoom just like this, and the daughter called the mother the C word because at the end it's only 4 letters. She just said, "Oh, that's what she is." I said, "Todd, stop. The session stops here." And I had to I pulled the daughter out. I said, "Call me right now." And I gave her my number, and I told the mother, "This can't happen. The session. I'm handling the daughter. She is disrespectful to her mother, but the mother's like, I don't know what to do. I can't handle her." There you go. You allowed her to experiment with weed. You're allowing her. You have to. It's just that toughness. You have look. This is our job.
Yes.
I mean, some of us didn't ask to have babies.
I'm just a little bit, if I may, respectfully, ladies, and I'm telling you,
yes,
I'm a strong mother. She raised 6 boys and 2 girls, and trust me, she ruled with an iron fist. And here
it comes.
and I got it. But I think, Brother Ron, you would agree. I don't know, but we are. I just want to put in there and insert in there. We're living in a different day, and in a different time, and tough love is definitely what these kids yearn and what they need. But it's how we do it. Like back to what you were saying, Sister Jacqueline. It's because you know these young people are not strangers to confrontation. And you don't want to edge them on, and then you, my sister Shannon, you have just an aura about you that is motherly, and a lot of them yearn for that. And like my brother Ron, we have a fatherly sort of yearn, so they're going to give us, that instant respect. But that's something that you might want to count that as a gift that you have, sister. Everybody don't have that gift. And
I believe that. You're right.
Others that she's retired from the police department. She would attest. She would be able to tell you that some of them, they don't respect authority. They don't care who you are. They're gonna combat that. And what we have to be mindful when we're coaching parents. Because a lot of parents got a lot that they're dealing with. We're not even talking about they may have multiple children.
Yeah.
They have maybe multiple jobs. They may be trying to do, they might be doing all of it on their own. So I just want to put that in there and say that there's no perfect parenting handbook. There's no one that's perfect. But I think that's why the village concept comes in.
Yes.
Yeah. If I came across as saying that that one parent can do it all, I mean, it's not what I mean. Because even myself, I was raised, my mother had 10 girls. I have 9 sisters. Now, a few have passed on. But I grew up in a strict household. And that's how it was for me. But I understand not everybody has that iron fist or the right verbiage. Some people leave her be. Some people are different with the way they raise their children because they have multiple jobs or different crises going on. Well, you know what? I took it as a role as a parent. I'm still striving. I'm going through right now, taking care of my children and also dealing with the fact that my younger sister was murdered in 2017. And that's still affecting me right here in Brooklyn. So I know what struggles are like when besides raising a 14-year-old and dealing with other issues and then trying to keep your sanity and not realizing if you need help, mental help, like needing to talk to someone about your issues. You have to come out of in order to help your child, you have to come out of denials. I know when I needed help, and I was like, oh, I can't understand why this happened to me. And then when parents are absorbed in a lot of their issues, that's when the mice play. And they're just running amok. I remember times when I was sleeping. I don't even know where my kids were doing because I was so depressed. And that's what's happened to a lot of parents. And that's why Man Up, RIM, programs and peacemaking, that's when we come in to help our children that have fallen off the scale.
But Ron and Ms. Moore and Mr. Mitchell, one thing I hope in your programs, which I'm pretty sure you are doing that too, but if not, I want to appeal to these fathers. Appeal to the fathers. Please get in your children's life. Even if you and the woman is not together, you still should be in that child's life, particularly young males. You understand what I'm saying? Because I tell the women all the time, look, I know you want child support and you should get child support. But if you don't, all well and good, let the man have some time with the child, particularly young male, because they need that father in their life. I don't care what you say. A boy needs his father. You cannot raise a man. You can say all you want to, but you can't.
I can tell you that at our company, we have a whole department that's dedicated to the father.
Wow.
And we do that because of that very reason that you're talking about, Sister Shannon. You know, we're working on what we call a wounded father, right? And the fathers that have been gone through so much. And again, we have the answer to the question that was there for fathers. We have parenting classes for fathers, young fathers. So yeah, you're absolutely right. You know, these things are part of our component. I'm sure at RIM, they may have something to do, Brother Warren.
Yes, yeah, no, I agree. I know about the Wounded Fathers program that you do, and that's where I had to steal a little bit of that idea. I don't go directly with the fathers, but I do. That's what we do. It's what we do. But I do bring fathers into the program with their sons, so that we can have those discussions.
Mm-hmm.
I like the name of that.
Yes, yes,
I really do.
Because the fathers, I'm telling you, it's just you don't know how important it is that you need to be there. Yeah. You know, stop all of this fighting. If you don't get along with each other, all well and good, but get along for the sake of the children. Okay, because they are looking at you and your relationship, and a lot of times that's why they're out there acting up, is because they don't like what's going on between you and the woman. But you know, it's time to put all that aside. Okay, every time we get in a relationship, it don't always work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we still work together to save our children.
Absolutely. I just need to put in a disclaimer. When I said that I got my brother's program, I didn't take the name. I just took the concept.
What is your name for yours?
The good thing about it is it's not even mine, brother. It's ours.
Well, you know what? And that's the way you've always been. You've always been able to share that wealth of knowledge about what it's about, saving our young brothers' lives, and that's what we're in this business for. So that's what we do. That's what we do.
Exactly it.
Even whoever creates whatever, if Mr. Mitchell created that, then you can use it to do it in Delaware. We can use it to do it in North Carolina. That's the idea. Whatever you create in Delaware, someone else can take that and use it someplace else.
It's about not reinventing the wheel.
But that's what it's all about. But it's also about sharing.
Yes,
exactly. Sharing.
How are you claiming onto one thing that if you have knowledge where you can help others, share it? Because our peacemaking program started. I'm saying it started out in Red Hook. Now it's in several courts. It's in Syracuse. It's in Ithaca. A lot of different countries are coming and looking at how we model it to help, because it's about trying to work with people, because actually peacemaking is an indigenous concept. It came from the natives. They sat around in circles and they we took it from them. And we, you little tweak. What you did, Mother Moore, what you're doing is you tweaking what he does. That's all. I like that.
The problems that we are facing are systemic. So the solutions have to be systemic. Right. You can't, you got to find a system with a system. So the work that we do is the antidote and it's the cure to the violence that you see being played out there. Because I treat violence and see violence as a public health crisis.
Mm-hmm. It is absolutely.
It is.
Exactly. That's what you
do. We represent the programs that we represent is the medicine. And so it doesn't matter where the medicine was manufactured, right?
I like that.
They're talking about this vaccine to deal with COVID. The last thing a person that's looking for that vaccine is going to worry about, where was it manufactured? Where did it come from? Right. The bottom line is that I'm sick and I need that to feel better and to feel healed. And the same thing goes with the solution. So I say that to say respectfully, whatever we're doing in East New York and wherever we're doing in Brooklyn through our company, we want to share that with the rest of the country. In any troubled neighborhood, with any troubled community, if it works here, we think it could be applied elsewhere with some tweaking, like you said, Brother Ron, with some tweaking and how you make it happen in Delaware the way that you're doing. I offer that up to the rest of you. So by all means, we have a federal tax ID number. We're not limited to just Brooklyn, like the sister thing. We can go anywhere in the country. And so I gotta go respectfully, but I really appreciated this time with you all. Yes. It is good to see you both, our sister Shannon and Dr. Vanessa. But Brother Ron is my comrade, my confidant, my brother. I salute you, man.
Love you, brother.
I'm looking forward to working alongside you as well in Brooklyn, because we are based in Brooklyn. And so anytime that you feel
like
free,
that,
let's connect. Okay?
We know you have to go. We know Mr. Ron has to go and Miss Jacqueline has to go. But I just want to thank you all again for the time that you did take to share with us and the time for the after show, because I'm sure whoever's watching has gotten something out of it. And like I say, let's just take care of our kids. Let's save our children ourselves. And we want to thank everybody for watching the show today. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, take care. Good night. Peace.
Today's show is sponsored by Abu's Bakery. If you have a sweet tooth, stop by Abu's Bakery for some delicious cakes and pies.